Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to the back porch and to the Open Up podcast. How are we doing today?
We're doing really well. Our vintage this evening is called Educated Guess, which
Mm,
I think is appropriate for people in higher education.
yes,
It's a
like
red
us.
blend from Napa Valley.
Oh,
Yum.
So our topic this evening
Yes.
was kind of inspired from our last topic
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking about how we honor the dead.
Yes.
And one of the things that came up in conversation was the fact that we can sometimes see our loved ones in our dreams. So tonight we're going to continue that trend to take a look at dreams.
Very good.
So dreams could be understood in this way: distorted reality, engaging alternative, miraculous schemes. The first letter of each of those words ends up spelling dreams.
Mm.
Sweet dreams, parents tell their children as they gently tuck them into bed. Sugar plum fairies recalled dancing in our heads. But dreams are sometimes bitter, scary, incomplete. Some are so real they wake us from our sleep. What can dreams reveal? And how can we listen? Are there images that mean definite things for certain? Are we tuned in to the alternate frequency, revealing things our awakened selves cannot see? Can dreams come true? Are they pure fantasy? Do they warn of things that might be? Do they satisfy the inner yearning to be free of the stress that guides life daily? Can we see the future? Speak to the dead? Do dream images serve us in times of dread? And what of our dreams for a better world? Does dreaming help good things unfold? Do dreams reveal and heal a future previously foretold? What are the miraculous schemes your dreams hold?
that's a lovely poem. Did you just write that
I
poem?
did. I just wrote it last night, actually.
Oh wow, that just shows you're showing your talent right now.
I love poetry and I just love playing with words. And I think the poem asks some questions about dreams. So, what would you like to what would you like to address about dreams?
I think we should address when dreams could be bitter, scary, and incomplete. I think some of my dreams do make me jump out of sleep. So I'm like, oh, what is that about? Um, and some of them are really bitter for sure. And there's some of my dreams are very exciting, especially when I'm flying in my dream. I love to fly, so that's something that I love to do. Yeah. But that was a good point that you said sometimes it's bitter, scary, or incomplete. Because sometimes after having a dream, I always have a question: why did I dream that? Or what's happening? Remember the day when I came to your house and I told you about the dream that I had, and you went to get your dream book and try to find out the meaning
Oh yeah.
behind it? Um, that was an incomplete dream of not understanding what was going on. But yeah,
Yeah, I do have a dream book, and it gives you some ideas of what some images might mean. It's not that it's complete, although it's called the Everything Dreams book, but it's based on Jungian psychology and the understanding of the collective unconscious, and that in our sleep we tap into that. And that's how we're able to have some dreams of things that we've never seen before. I'm recalling a dream that my father told me about when he was on his way. He was serving in World War II and he was being stationed in the Solomon Islands in the Pacific. He said the night before they landed, he had this dream of what the beach was going to look like. and what they were going to encounter when they got
Mm-hmm.
to the place where they were being stationed. And the very next day, it was exactly as he had seen in his dream.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
I thought that that was one of those kinds of dreams that are sort of like you're able to have a premonition of what
Mm,
is to come.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Last week I had a dream of my we were crying, like my family was crying. But then this Sunday, my mom told me that my sister got a promotion. So she said maybe the crying in the dream was of this joy that comes
Mm-hmm.
now. So my sister got a promotion, a new job. So I'm like, oh well, that was a lot of crying we did in the dream. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure,
Congratulations.
right?
Hopefully, they're all tears of joy.
I hope so. I think she was like, maybe that's why. So yeah.
How about you, Antonio? What aspect of dreams do you want to talk about?
Anything. I mean, because dreams are really interesting when you think about it. Like when you wake up in a dream, things don't make sense, and but I think also because I've had dreams where I sometimes I think like that may need an interpretation, and then there are other dreams that are just silly or crazy that I don't think need an interpretation. So I think there's a combination of both, and also because like the psychological understanding, depending on the school of psychology, you will have to where like, oh well, dreams are just a mixture of your unconscious is open, you have your desires, your fears, experiences that you've had, and everything is crossing, so to speak, the storage, all of the storages are open and crossing, and then that's why you get wild dreams. To whereas there's other schools of psychology that would say there's an interpretation. And you were talking about Carl Jung, whom I think he's probably the one who talks the most about the interpretation of dreams. And I quite like his psychology. And so I think there's something to be said about that. We've You and I were talking once also about how there's that connection sometimes where dreams could be, I guess, a window into another dimension, so to speak, to where there's like a fine line between us and those who've gone before us, and that maybe sometimes there's a connection or a way of communicating. So I think there's also something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, any recent dreams that anyone wanted to talk about? Well, McQueen, you did share the one about the crying and uh,
Yeah.
then your sister getting the promotion. Um, what about dreams that help you to shape your future? Have you had any of those? I'll start because I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Back when I was a young adult and I was discerning my vocation to maybe becoming a member of a religious community,
Mm-hmm.
a sister, I had a dream of where I was in a castle like structure that had bars on the window,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking out the window in the parking lot below, and I saw my brothers, their wives, and their children. Now, none of my brothers were married at the time, so there were no wives and no children in reality. But in my dream, I saw them out in the parking lot, and one of the little children yelled up, "Aunt Bonnie, why can't you come out and play?" And her mom says, because Aunt Bonnie's in the convent. She can't come play with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up and I thought, oh, I really did feel like this was going to be like jail if I were if I were to enter into religious life. So that helped me to discern, no, I don't think that that is where I'm being called to. The feeling that I also had inside was one of anxiety and maybe even a little bit of depression because I really wanted to be part of what was going on in the parking lot with the family. So I think that's an example for me of one of those dreams that help you to determine where your future goes.
Yeah. One time, many years ago, when I joined the Redemptorist, there was another Redemptorist conferor, and I entered religious life in 2017, January of 2017. And around that time, there was this one conferor who I really liked at the time. And then, as the first, like, I guess my first semester went by, mm, I saw a different side of him and that I didn't like. And I remember I was kind of holding a grudge a little bit, even after uh, I wasn't seeing him often or anything. But I remember one time I had a dream where I saw him and we talked, and he apologized, and I forgave him, and we had a nice conversation. And then when I woke up, I was like, "Well, that's a very strange dream." But I felt at peace, and I think it was a dream that helped me just kind of be at peace with that part of the relationship. That I never felt like, oh, um, I need to talk this out with him, because it was more something that was within me that I needed to let go of. And so when that happened, I just kind of felt like, oh yeah, yeah, I mean, we're good. And then the next time I saw him, um I didn't feel like anything, like in my stomach or in my chest. So it was like a good way of settling that.
You were actually able to let go of
Yeah.
something. That's
Mhm.
great.
Which doesn't happen often.
Well, for me, based on what Antonio is saying, is when I was in New York City, um, the past summer, and I had a conversation with somebody who helped me very well with my what do you call that? In terms of, he helped me to understand, past relationships, in terms of friendships that I had in information. And I had a dream that time that I really needed to forgive. Maybe I needed to forgive myself for making the wrong decisions, or to, not wrong decisions in terms of um, putting too much trust, or forgiving myself in terms of learning how to let go. And I think that helped me, and I think that was like my healing journey. But when I had that dream, I realized that I was holding on to too much, so I needed to let go of these things. And I think that helped me when after I had that dream of me walking on this path, and then always looking back to, I'm not sure how to explain it, but in terms of that. And I realized, okay, McQueen, you need to start moving forward and let go of, you know things that didn't work out. um, but as Antonio said, that I remember that I had that dream. Yeah.
Sometimes our sleeping and our dreaming can open up vistas for us in the real world.
Hmm.
So, one of the things I wonder about dreams, if we dream for like social change, does that affect social change? I think about Dr. Martin Luther King and his famous I Have a Dream
Mhm.
speech. It's still becoming a reality, but it isn't there. We take maybe one step forward and two steps back
Hmm.
in building that society where people really are valued for who they are, and not uh, disparaged for the color of their skin,
Right.
or their religion, their race, whatever. I wonder if our dreams can help us to move forward as a society. What do you think about that?
I think they can, in as much as we are willing to put the work in. So Martin Luther King had this dream about it, and he knew that it couldn't just stay in something like, oh, this would be really nice, but that he felt he could do something about it and he should do something about it. And to realize that it wasn't just his dream, because there was a dream, it was a dream of a lot of people, and to encourage the rest of other people, I should say, to fight for that dream, because it was a social dream. So I think if we have one of these dreams that society or a lot of people of society have, then we can encourage each other to fight for that. But if not, it just says in something that, oh, that would be really nice. But
But it doesn't
yeah,
doesn't move us forward.
yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I
You,
also
who Mr. Community, you
Oh yeah, I
everything has a
was
communal aspect.
I was about to say that it's like a community dream, in terms of, um, he didn't see it for himself, but he saw it for everybody. Like Antonio was saying, um, sometimes we could be our own standing block in our dreams, but if we don't put our feet to the plow, then nothing happens. Um, so I think he saw that it was not only his dream, like, I'm piggybacking on Antonio, um, and he saw beyond the standing blocks, and he was able to achieve it with everybody working together for that dream. And I think that is something that society is still working at. And his faith, his belief in Christ, and the belief in Christ of all the other persons created that unity and that sense of community resistance for the dream. Not in a bad way, but it became a community of resistance and resilience in that same way. Um, so I think, yes, our dream should, or if we work at it, should help us to achieve social, how you call that, justice for others. Yeah.
Build a better and more just society.
Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm. So, of all of the dreams that you've had, are there any that stand out to you as just absolutely stunning that you'll never forget them because
Mm.
the images were so powerful, or the interaction was so meaningful, or puzzling, or something that just made you go back and revisit it over and over again?
Yes, I recently had a dream that was very real and even more real when I woke up. As the day went by, um, I had a very good friend of mine was 85, was in the hospital, and in my dream I had gone to the hospital to I was in the hospital, and I was trying to get to see her, but I couldn't see her. For some reason, I couldn't find her room, and it was time for me to leave. So as I was leaving as I was trying to get out of the facility, I went through some glass doors, and her husband was there, sitting on the floor, and I got very excited to see him, and I greeted him, and I was thinking like, why are you on the floor? And I gave him a hug, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek, and we started talking, and I said to him that I was looking to see his wife, but that I hadn't seen her, and I asked him how she was doing, and he said, oh, she's doing well, which the reality is, in outside of the dream, she was not okay, and that's why I was concerned for her. But in the dream, her husband tells me she's doing okay, and I was very glad to hear that. And I said, okay, so is she going to a rehab facility after she gets out of here? And he said, no, we're going home today. And I got very excited. And then I said, well, I have to go. And I gave him another hug and another kiss, and I left. But when I woke up, I thought it was really strange because the hug felt really very real. I mean, it really was a true hug. I mean, I have no other way to describe it. And I remember feeling his cheek when I kissed him both times, and so that was kind of strange. Um, and then that night, I got a message from my friend's son telling me that she had passed away. The crazy thing that my dream is, I never met her husband before, and so when I woke up, I thought in my dream, "Wow, this is so weird," because I had never met him before. In fact, he passed away before I met her. Um, and so everything made even more sense when at night when she passed away, and because to me then it meant that she was going home to God, not home to her house. So the next morning, I saw her son, and I was telling him what happened, and he got tears in his eyes, and he said, well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I was really hesitant because I thought, man, this seems like so crazy, but he was very grateful, that I shared that with him. But yeah, it's
Oh.
one of those crazy things.
That
Yeah.
really was one of those dreams that you were talking about earlier, that it seems like the curtain between us and the other side is very thin.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was a beautiful
it
dream.
was
It
very
was.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I remember in 2019, It was in September. Yes, in September, my grandmother came to me in my dream. She was still alive, and then she said, "Bye bye, McQueen." She said bye bye to me. I was in New York, and um, she was home, and then she was singing when she came in the dream. So the following day, I was singing the whole day. That was like in the end of September time, and I was singing the whole day in that day. Then after the night, my mom calls and she says, "Oh, Mama passed away," and I was like, "Oh my God!" She came to tell me bye bye before, and my mom said she asked them to play music for her, and I was singing the whole day.
Wow.
And I have that. I hold on to that because I'm like, oh, because she said to me that she was going to wait for me when I was finished studying to become a priest. So she said she's gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for you. I'm gonna hold on for you. That's what she said. And then she passed away. Then I was like, oh, that was. So I hold on to that dream a lot. Mm,
That's a beautiful dream
it is,
too. So
yeah.
so what do you think the "I'll hold on for you" means?
I'm. I never thought of that, but before I was like, because I was leaving, I came up here in 2019. So I left in August. And then she say to me, I'll hold on for you until, I'm done. And then, so every time I keep telling my mother that, Mama had said she would have hold on, but yet till she died. Um, but it 1 month, all the way in September to the end, and then that's when that happened. And I went home in October because the funeral was around in October time. Yes, but I don't know what that meant. When she said she'd have hold on for me, I'm not sure. I thought that she would have stayed alive until till now. But yeah,
Yeah. You know,
yeah,
I, if I can predict, I'm going to
yes.
say that God willing, you be you get ordained, you're going to feel a presence of your grandmother that
Oh,
will be beyond your imagination. So just look for it.
yes.
I think it'll happen. Yeah.
By God's grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, I want to just talk about like a recurring dream that I would have,
Mm-hmm.
and this was during the time that I think it was I was transitioning from one job to another, but I would have this dream about this house that I was living in that there it had the living room, the front porch, the bedroom, and then it would keep going on. I mean, it's like every time I walked through the house
Mm-hmm.
would keep getting bigger and bigger as as I walked through it. So it was almost like well, it's hard to describe. It's like, as soon as I would walk through a room, there would be another room that would appear
Um.
that I was walking through. And there were different people that I would encounter in them. In one room, it was my mother's family who had all gone home to the Lord. In
Mm-hmm.
another room was my father's family and all of his family that had gone home to the Lord. And in the backyard, there were swings and volleyball court, and so um, it was like a dwelling place that kept on growing.
Mm.
And as I think about that, because it was a time of transition, I think it was sort of like letting me know that there are possibilities
Mm-hmm.
for the future, that I don't have to be settled into what used to be, like the
Mhm.
front part of the house,
Yeah.
but that there's more. There's more, and
Right.
you just keep moving, and there's more.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other dream, if I can, if you
Yes.
don't mind me
Go ahead.
telling
No,
it.
you go ahead.
Okay, so when I was working on my doctoral degree,
Mm-hmm.
and I, of course, had a lot of difficulty because, well, first, I couldn't even decide on what I wanted to do. And then as I decided, it was like it just kept morphing into other stuff. But I do remember having this dream. I had been working really hard on getting my proposal finished,
Mm-hmm.
and in this dream, I was like walking outside and I saw Maurice, my husband, under a tree, and he called me over. So I went over and he says, I know you're working really hard, but you really can do this. And on my way to see him, though, there was this huge ant pile, and I flew over it in order to get to where he was. And he says, wow, see what amazing things you can do.
Hmm?
Oh,
Wow,
oh, that's
very
interesting.
nice. I so you were speaking about that. I was thinking of uh, recurring dreams, not in the sense that I have the same dream, but the same sort of context, I guess. So one of them is that in my life, I have had dreams of friends or family who have passed away, and a lot of times we don't have a conversation or anything, but I've seen them. I had this friend who passed away recently, and so it was the dream of her the day before, or the day she passed away, and of her husband. And then recently I had a dream about her, and where I saw her and I had like a very brief exchange with her. When my great grandmother had passed away, a few years later I saw her in a dream. And then another friend of mine who passed away just in December, I had this dream, and it wasn't of him, but it was of his presence, because I was in his house and his dog came in, and it was I felt his presence, but it was really weird. But then the other one was when I was a kid. Every year in October, I would have a nightmare, and I was really tired of that, because it was just every year. It wasn't on the same day, but it was always in October, and I remember just getting very frustrated. This happened, I don't know for how many years, but it was so frustrating because as soon as October would come, then I would just start to dread going to sleep, because I knew that one of these days I'm gonna have a nightmare, and I would be just terrified for like 3 or 4 days, because I don't know if I'm gonna have another nightmare or whatever. Luckily, the weirdest thing that happened was, um, in one of those nightmares that I had, I was being chased, uh, and this was in Mexico, and I was in my grandma's hometown, and I was being chased, and I had an awareness that this was a dream, and this is the first time during these nightmares that I was aware that it was a dream, and I thought I could change this, and I turned. I remember I jumped from the street to the roof of my grandmother's house, because I was on that street, and then there was whoever was chasing me came up on the roof, but from the back as well. And like with this awareness, I was like, I don't have to be afraid, because this is just a dream and I can change it. And I remember changing it and turning it around to where, like, this is not a chase anymore, and I get over this. And then after that, I didn't have another nightmare.
Mm.
Wow.
It was
That's
really strange.
interesting.
Yeah.
So just being able to be lucid in your dream,
Yeah.
Right.
to recognize that it is a dream,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
need to be afraid.
Right. And I don't have lucid dreams very often. After that, maybe a couple of times where I was aware that I was dreaming, but other than that, I'm a very sound sleeper.
Oh.
So
Mhm.
Interesting. You know, as you're talking about that, I'm always dreaming of I am being chased. Remember the day when I came to you and I said to you, well, as you spoke about the rooms expanding, I was in one house and I went to tell the people something, and then I realized that something was wrong there. And then I run back to my home thinking, and I locked all the doors. And I remember, and I said, then I thought I had closed one of the windows. And when I was about to close the window, the people were already in the house. And then that's when you went to look for the books to find out, what that moving from one to another. And then afterwards, when they grabbed me and pulled me, that's when I jumped out of my sleep, because I was afraid, and my heart was beating very quickly when I got up in the morning. Not in the morning, it was like, I think it was, yeah, in the morning, it was in the morning. And then there's another one that I dreamed of, that I was being chased and I had to fly. I had to like fly just to get away from the people, but then the people still got to me. And then the other day, last week, I had another dream, or maybe, yeah, last week, I had another dream that I was being chased, and then I went to hide in the church, and then they came, and then I went to hide in a little hole in the church in the sacristy, and then they still found me there, and then I ran out of the, like I came out of the church, ready to go, and then I don't know what prevented me from flying, but then I lie down um, on the side where I thought that he would not see me. Then one of the persons saw me, and then I had to, and then I run again. So I don't know what this for these 3 days. This has been a reoccurring thing of,
That somebody is
yes.
chasing you. Have you been able to see who they look like,
No, I have not.
or
No,
do you even know if they're human, or if they're like
I don't know.
creatures, or
They are human.
in the next one? This is what I would ask you to do, is do something like what Antonio did.
Mm,
Say, I know that this is a dream and there's nothing to be afraid of. And it, while you're doing that, look and see what is it that's chasing you. Get a look at it,
yes.
and maybe that will also help with the fear that you feel when whatever it is that's chasing you
Hmm.
is doing
Right.
that. But that's interesting.
It is.
Hmm. Now, I've also heard that in your flying dreams, if you were ever to crash, you're going to die. I mean,
Oh, well, I haven't.
crashing is the act of dying. So, so if you're flying, just make sure you land safely.
Right. That's something.
One time I had a dream about my grandfather, who's now deceased, and at that time he had already passed away. But in my dream, I was in my element where I went to elementary school in Mexico, and my grandfather was there, and he started to chase me, but like he was kind of angry, which was weird because I never had any experience of my grandfather being angry at me. And he started to chase me, and I kind of laughed because I was like, why are you doing this, like, and but then he was kind of angry, so I was like, oh, this is serious. And I was telling my therapist that, and my therapist has done some dream interpretation work, and he's very into Jungian psychology. And he says, well, would you like us to try and make something of, try to interpret it? And I said, sure. So as we're talking, because it was about chasing, he was going into some of the details of the dream and asking me, if this may have anything to do uh with any aspects of my life. And with the chasing part of it, he said, is there anything in your life that you are running away from? Because
Mm.
this may be not that something or someone is chasing you, but maybe that you're trying to get away from, or that you're running from. So, and I couldn't think of anything at the time, but he asked me to do some deep reflection into my life and say, is there anything that maybe I'm trying to get away from, that I feel like I'm being chased by?
Mm.
So it could be, I mean, that doesn't have
That
to be
might
the
be a good,
interpretation,
but
but
it
it
might
could
be a
be
good
something.
question for you to ask also, McLean.
Yeah.
So I have one more little dream that I wanted to share with
Yes.
you, because it affects one of our permanent guests, Sophie. Uh, this was a few years ago. She was still, I think, maybe about 3 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a dream that she was covered all with fleas and ticks,
Oh.
and I touched her, and they all went away.
Mm.
Oh.
And my interpretation of it now is that on some level, I didn't trust that you guys were going to be able to take care of her when Father
That sounds
Peter
about
left.
right.
And, and so, so this is a dream come true, that Sophie is my
Safe.
permanent guest. I'm her
Yes.
guardian.
You are her mother.
Yes. So for the people listening, Sophie is a French bulldog that was a resident at the Redemptorist house. When there was another priest who lived there, and when he got moved, he couldn't take Sophie with her. So, being a good friend of Bonnie, he gave or did he give her to you? Did he loan her to you?
He, I'm the
He let you
guardian.
have it. Okay, so Bonnie became the legal guardian of Sophia, and so you've heard her in other episodes, and so that she's our very permanent resident and host. But do we have some questions for our listeners today, Bonnie?
We do. Let's see. I just have two questions for our
Okay,
listeners. So, how important are dreams to you? And do you find that your dreams guide your life? So we'd like for you to think about those two questions, and whatever else may have sparked a question in you from the conversation that we've had.
very good. We love to read your answers, so let us know what you think, and we'll see you on the next episode of Open Up.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.